We've got Mac Morse here with us today. He is the Senior Technical Product Manager at Avalabs. Mac, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here, sir.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. It's super excited to be here.
Welcome, Mac.
Yeah.
How are you,
Definitely,
Mac?
man.
How is Avalanche treating you?
Avalabs is amazing. It's a great place to work, and every day is exciting. Coming up on 2 years pretty soon here in May. So
2 years,
it's been a wild ride.
Wow. Yeah, maybe we could get into a little bit before we dig into the nuts and bolts, because I know we have a lot of people in the chat that want to hear about core, that want to hear about why Dexalot is a core first platform now. Okay, big deal over here, guys. But before we do that, Mac, maybe we could get into some of your background, how you got involved with Avalabs. And, you know, we always kind of like to get a little bit of a origin story from all our guests. So if we could start there, that'd be great.
Totally. Yeah. So probably about 2 origin stories here, and I'll tell them both, but I'll tell kind of the professional one first and then crypto later.
Awesome.
So professionally kind of started my career in venture capital, worked with tons of great companies and founders. I worked for a firm that was doing kind of accelerators, and then they had a huge venture arm. So really fun way to get kind of introduced to the tech space. And then from there, I ended up in fintech for a few years, building a variety of products, but some of them were enterprise, some of them were, you know, a little more niche. Super fun, and kind of in the background of all of this, I kind of fell down the crypto rabbit hole around 2017. You know, my buddy texted me and he was like, "Hey, you got to check out this Bitcoin Ethereum thing. It's pretty cool." And I was like, "Oh, I've heard of it, so I'll take a look." And, you know, I ended up buying my first Bitcoin and, you know, Ethereum as well, and bought a whole bunch of other altcoins. Probably lost all my money on those, but I was hooked. And so I'd been in crypto ever since. And then about 2 years ago, I was starting to wrap up some projects in fintech, and I thought, hey, you know, like I'm really into this crypto thing. When I'm not working, I'm on Twitter, or, you know, researching or in DeFi, things like that. So I figured it was a good time to merge the 2 paths and start doing crypto as a job. So I went looking for crypto jobs, and I landed on Avalabs, talked to a bunch of the team there, and it felt like a good fit. So I went ahead and, you know, they extended an offer, and the rest is history, and kind of started my 2-year journey there. Once I got to Avalabs, things kind of kicked off super fast. So immediately kind of took control of wallet.avox, which you guys have probably used, and was kind of the product manager on that. But the idea for a mobile wallet and a browser extension wallet started percolating. And, you know, we kind of decided like, hey, now's the time. And we spun up teams for both of those and took off building. And then we ended up...
Sorry to cut you off. I was actually want to ask you that. What was the idea behind Avalanche having its own wallet? I mean, we all have our own opinions, and it makes sense, obviously. But how did it like, percolate, and how did you really say, okay, this is really good strategy, and let's go for it? And were you at circles at that point?
Yeah, so super good question. I think a lot of the wallet discussions were happening just before I arrived at Avalabs, but I was there for sort of the tail end of them. And the biggest piece of it was that other wallets weren't going to be scalable. So the subnet vision for the future was that, you know, Avalanche was going to take over the world. Subnets were going to take over the world. And we needed a wallet that could support all different types of subnets, whether those are EVMs or not. And then kind of all the data that comes with those subnets. And existing wallet providers weren't going to cut it without a significant biz dev effort of basically going to them repeatedly and saying, I need you to support this subnet. I need you to support this subnet. So we saw that and we said, hey, if we have our own, we can support things like Dexalot out of the box, right? User can just download it and Dexalot's right there. So that was the, you know, biggest decision around it. And then mobile was kind of an add-on. It was like, hey, if we're doing this in browser extension, like why not? Let's do it in mobile too.
Sure. And it's a very, I'm so glad that you guys did it, because, you know, it gave us opportunities to suggest features that we created in our minds. And we said, hey, we have this kind of need. How can we really implement it? Like the need cross-chain signing. I don't know if it's a good segue to move on to that or not, but
I mean, this is you guys know how it goes. In the cloud of the casual discussion, we can move all over the place. And I do want to point out, we just had a really good comment in the chat. Mac Morse is a good rapper name. And I have to agree, as a retired rap DJ, I have to agree, Mac, you could pursue a rap career. We'll get you some ghostwriters if you need that sort of thing. I got your back, man. We got you covered. All right. So it's a great rapper name. We'll get you in the game over here if that's something you want to explore, all right? Because that is a really good rapper name. That's a good call by Jonathan in the chat. Anyway, yes, Cengiz, if you want to talk about that, for sure, man. Let's talk about cross-chain transaction signing. I'm sure
So basically, everybody probably knows in this chat that how Dexalot works. That we actually we transact in dual chain environment. And we have to keep switching sometimes from the Avalanche mainnet to the subnet or subnet to the Avalanche mainnet. And for a casual user, it creates friction. So we had this idea back last year, and we pitched it to Avalabs, and you guys were so receptive. And in December, I don't know if you were in that meeting, so we pitched the idea and say, hey guys, we need something that if we can just deposit from the mainnet and without even have to switching to the subnet, we can start sending orders. So becoming more and more, let's say Web 2 like. It is not fully Web 2, like from an easiness, like how easy it is. But I think it was our first step towards that. I don't know how much work went behind it, but you guys delivered as usual, and that was our primary reason, one of the primary reasons, let me call it, to make Core as our default Core first wallet. I don't know if you want to add anything on the multi-chain signing, what went behind it, because I always thought it could have some security issue behind it to cross sign a message from one chain to another.
Yeah, so this was actually a really super cool example of the reason that we built Core. So the request came through from you guys that was like, hey, we need to have this feature so that Dexalot can function. And Dexalot is a really awesome use case of subnets. So this is just an extension of using the Avalanche technology. But basically in wallets as they stand today, MetaMask, others, this idea of transacting on a network is tied to the network switcher in the actual application. So if you want to do a transaction on Ethereum, you have to have Ethereum selected in your wallet. Right. And this was a really cool use case because you guys basically came to us and said, hey, what if we don't do that? Like, what if you could transact on a network that you're not selected to? And we thought about it. And it's a really good idea. Like, there's really no reason to restrict transactions to the selected network. There's no technical reason for it. The reason maybe UI UX, but we didn't really see that was a good reason either. So we looked into it, and it was relatively easy to implement. Our team is great, so they took off and started building it. But super cool to kind of take those two things and split them apart. And that's all about abstraction, right? And that's something that we try to do in Core a lot through our UI UX, is to abstract these crypto details kind of behind the scenes so that the users can do what they want without going through a huge learning curve or getting confused on networks, things like that.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jim.
Well, I was just going to say, I think that's one of the huge things, because just from a user perspective, it's so smooth. You know what I mean? And guys, we are going to have an instructional video coming your way, so you can see all the steps on how to do it, between connecting your wallet, depositing, trading, and withdrawals, and adding gas. You know what I mean? And you never leave the subnet. You're never changing chains. So that was the one thing that, I mean, Dexalot is a Core first platform because of that. You know what I mean? So maybe you guys could speak to that a little bit more. Cengiz, I know you had something to add right there.
No, I was just like, sometimes I come up with ideas that are, potentially stupid and all these things, but I always try to make it as simple as possible, everything. So, and we still have this problem for a casual Web 2 users to install, understand what MetaMask is or Core is, like a wallet is.
Right.
and taking ownership of your private keys and all these things, right? So I'm wondering if eventually, or if you guys even talk about, like having these wallets so embedded, and you give potentially authorizations to transactions, hey, up to 10,000 in this network with this application. Don't ask me to approve every single time. Just do it. Doesn't matter. So it's like a blanket authorization. I know there's all these kind of security risks, and you may not want to do it, but at the same time, you're offloading that responsibility to an application that the core wallet trusts. If the core wallet trusts the applications as a part of the maybe let's call whitelisted applications, why not? Why not have this for the users? I don't know if this is something that could be implementable, and it's security risk. What do you think?
Yeah, so it's a really good idea, and it kind of goes down the thread of abstraction, which I think in general is where crypto needs to go right now. Everything is super manual. Learning curve is huge. You need to understand things at a very granular detail, which I think for all of us is okay, right? Because we've been around for a while. But for new users, it's a lot to ask, and I think it's probably too much to ask. So there are definitely concerns around security of doing like a blanket approval that definitely raises some alarm bells. But I think in general, like this brings up a really good point that I kind of grapple with a ton on the wallet side, is that we serve two user groups that we've identified. And the first is these crypto natives, the people that have been around for a while that want this really granular control. And a blanket approval probably scares them. It definitely does. And that's something that they wouldn't want to use. But then we've got these new users that they don't want the granular control because they don't know what it is, and they want things done for them. And for them, like a blanket approval would be really cool. So for us, it's about balancing the two and building for both groups. But the problem is that the two groups often fight each other. If we build something that's too easy, the crypto natives get mad. And if we build something that's too hard, then the new users can't use it. Yeah.
So, I mean, you may end up having like a core light and core, maybe. I mean, who knows?
Hey, yeah, exactly. Who knows?
We need to get the the casual users into the crypto world, and we can't have frictions. And I don't know, just like they're transacting with banks or Apple Pay, everything, they double click and then they're paid something, right? They don't need to really think too much. And whitelisting these certain accounts or certain applications with the wallet provider may plug in certain security holes. It's not a definite, but may plug in certain security holes. And I came up with this idea just now, right? I just didn't think about it, and I don't know if it's feasible or not. But that will definitely help. And so then I don't know if you're willing to do this as well, but stable on ramp in core. I don't know. It's something that you guys talked about, stable coins.
Yeah, good question as well. I think I'm going to talk about your first point just real quick. We have thought about it. I'm definitely going to write this idea down because I think it's good, but we have kind of thought about this like whitelist idea in a different way, but definitely something that may be coming in the future. So we'll definitely loop you in on those conversations if those get more advanced. Would definitely like your input there. But I would say in terms of on-ramps are difficult. It's pretty regulated space, right? Especially in the US. So we do have to tread carefully as we are a US company. But basically we've got two on-ramps right now that users can use. Number one is MoonPay. Users can log in and buy AVAX. They can then transfer that to USDC if they want to through our swap feature. But our second option is going to be Coinbase Pay. So if a user has a Coinbase account, or they can even make a Coinbase account in the widget, they can go ahead and buy AVAX through there or any other cryptocurrency that they want, and they can send that over to their core wallet through the kind of widget that we have embedded in the app.
Nice. And it looks like our CMO is saying, Core seems like the easiest wallet to get newbies into. Is that on purpose? And, and Cengiz, you know this, I'm the newest noob on the team. You know what I mean? So if I can use Core Wallet, go into the Dexalot subnet and know exactly what I'm doing, I feel like it is the best wallet for noobs. So maybe you can speak to that, Mac. Is that on purpose or what?
Yeah, totally on purpose. And that's good to hear. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
We focus a lot on UI UX. We've hired a ton of great designers. A lot of them came from Web 2, so they're not crypto native, or they weren't. They are now because they've worked at Ava Labs long enough. But yeah, basically they took a lot of Web 2 principles, and they're very focused on new users, and we've baked that into our UI UX, and we definitely try to handhold new users as much as we can, while not impeding power users from getting through the process quickly.
Sure.
Yeah. So the reason, going back to this whitelisting idea or just certain smaller transactions, not approving them. The reason I brought that up, I wasn't planning on, but 2 weeks ago with our team, I was talking about, hey, what if we use certain like service workers in the front end, in the browser, to keep the private key and not ask users. Again, there's a security problem in there, but not ask users to constantly approving their transactions. The reason the need came from something that I did in Wall Street is basically a front end can do VWAP trading, volume weighted average. So basically we can build an algorithm in the front end, and the user can set the parameters and say, hey, buy 10,000 throughout 2 days, and just follow these parameters and so forth. And that kind of algorithm has to be in a way that the wallet doesn't require the approvals. So that was the basic idea that I had that is kind of translating into the wallet designs. But yeah, that's in the future. I don't know. Maybe we'll do it. Maybe we won't. I don't know. But it will be nice to have, definitely. TWAP, VWAP, algos in the front end. These are ideas that I had that I would love to implement for Dexalot. But yeah, the technology is not there yet.
Yeah, so you guys are getting some like high level stuff from one of the co-founders, right? I didn't want to cut you off, man, but you're this is great, guys. This is not in the roadmap.
This is not in the roadmap. I'm telling you.
I know you're just spitballing. That's what I love about it.
Yeah, I'm spitballing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's awesome. So, all right. Well, Chad, remember, if you guys have any architecture questions, this is the man to ask with us today. But also any general questions about Core. What I wanted to know, Mac, is like, what's coming up on the horizon? Is there any juice you can give us for what's coming with Core, or any new integrations?
Yeah, so super good question. We do have a policy of not talking about the roadmap, so I'm not going to do any alpha leaks here, but I can say that we've got a lot of really exciting stuff coming up around functionality that is currently in wallet.box that doesn't exist in Core. So I think if you're a user of both, it's probably pretty easy to narrow that down. We're going to bring that into Core, and it's going to be offered in a variety of different ways. There's going to be a lot of power user features in there, and there's going to be a lot of new user features in there. So getting people involved at the kind of network level, that's another hint for you, with their Vox, and just really excited about that stuff coming through. And then, of course, we're going to add tons of more functionality around basically DeFi. You're going to get more data about your tokens. So we're going to add pricing information for various subnets and DeFi information. And then there may be some stuff coming on NFTs, which that's all I'll say about that, but very exciting.
Whoa. I think there's going to be like several users from our chat who are going to be rewinding this part of the replay quite a few times. So very, very cool, man. That's awesome. So Cengiz, did you want to drop any upcoming? I know Simple Swap just got sent to audit last week.
Yeah, so we have the Simple Swap interface that you're familiar with in all AMMs. So we have in the back end there is no AMM. We have an RFQ model. So that's going to be the contract for the RFQ, request for quote. it has gone to audit, and we're working on the remediation, and we're also working on the back end, front end, all kinds of goes. There is a lot in this. It's not like because it's not like an AMM interface in the back end, we have to do a lot more to mimic that flow.
Sure.
But it will be a major stepping stone for us and Dexalot. And I don't know if we said anything about simple swap along with something else. I don't know. Am I allowed to say anything, Jonathan?
I don't know. Jonathan's probably he's having an aneurysm right now. Our CMO, he always
that's going to be working along with simple swap. That will add on to our volumes significantly. That's our expectations.
Can you say that one more time?
So simple swap interface is going to also support some other application that's going to be increasing our volumes. That's our expectation.
There it is, guys. There it is. Had to do it. Anyway, well, this is great. Cengiz, I know you did you have more questions for Mac that you wanted to ask?
No.
Okay.
No, yeah.
Well, perfect. Well, that's great. The chat says, let him cook. Look at this. This is great. All right, chat, if you guys have any questions for Cengiz or Mac, please let us know. Mac's face when the alpha horn came in. Yeah. Well, that's called the alpha horn, Mac. Sorry. I should have warned you about that alpha horn. Mac, if there's anything that you want to drop on us, I don't want to pressure, I know you're not allowed to talk about roadmap stuff, but if there's anything else you want to drop while you're here, I mean, feel free, it's among friends,
I have another follow-up idea.
Oh boy, I love it.
Your institutional subnet could be a good blanket approval core wallet candidate, because institutions, they know what they're dealing with.
Right. They
don't really need to have to click a lot of authorizations because they are professionals. Technically, it's just an idea.
Totally.
Maybe.
So I think you're excited, you're fired up about this idea. So I think we can kind of go into this because this isn't on the roadmap, so I can't talk about it. So basically,
no, sorry, I wasn't trying to peer pressure you. Sorry.
This is an idea that we've kind of kicked around a little bit with this idea of maybe applications. And again, we haven't done any kind of formal work around this. This is mostly just kind of spitballing, but ideas of having applications within core. So for example, Dexalot could have their own application that could be installed inside core. And the way that we basically would do this is we would provide a sandbox within core that these applications could run. And there would be certain things that they can and can't do, but most importantly, these applications would have permission to access to the user keys, right? Because the user is going to install the app and they're going to say, hey, you have access to my keys. And so then it would be possible to do permission approvals like you were talking about. You guys could gather approvals for a variety of transactions and then, do what you want as an application. And that could definitely be something that's part of Evergreen and, kind of all that stuff. But it's also super flexible too. You can kind of do whatever you want to. You could have a crazy Dexalot trading interface right within core. So super cool.
I had heard of this, but I am not sure if it was already available to us or not. Is it, or is it coming?
Yeah, so this is something we've talked about, but not something that's been planned or that we're working on. It's mostly just an idea at this point. There are some other folks that are working on this. I know MetaMask has something similar with snaps. I don't know if they've deployed that yet, but I think they were demoing it at Consensus maybe last year. A few months ago.
Awesome. Yeah, there is light at the end of the tunnel in this idea. I'm excited.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. Well, this has been awesome, man. And Mac, I have to say, I forgot to tell you, I do love the rocket right above.
Oh yeah.
The placement is so perfect, man. That's got to be intentional.
We're all going to the moon at some point.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I love to see it, man. Well, I have two questions for you before we let you go. One, can we get you to come back here? And I promise not to be as pushy with getting core information out of you next time.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. Just reach out, and happy to jump back on. I love doing these things. So
awesome, man. Awesome. And the second question I have, we always play some music at the tail end of the show. I'm sure you noticed I was doing some DJing at the beginning. I get a song request from every guest. Now, I don't mean to put you on the spot. You can send it to our producer, John, if you think of something after the fact. But if you got something right now, I'll take your song request. We'll end the show with it.
Sounds good. Give me
take your time.
1 second.
Take your time. Take your time.
I'll get you one.
Yeah, definitely, man. I got deep crates. Whatever you're thinking of, I can get it. So
let's
Cengiz too. We got to get a request from Cengiz too. But anyway, sorry, Matt. Go ahead.
Let's do a little Rhyme Dust by MK and Dom Dalla. Can you make that happen?
Yeah. What is it again? Say it one more time.
Rhyme Dust.
Rhyme Dust.
Yep.
All right. Producer John, can we get Rhyme Dust for Mac Morse over here? And that is such a good rapper name, man. That's a banger request, Ma. Oh, he said Mac, but Ma's good too. All right, I'm trying to break the thing over here. Our producer's gonna yell at me. All right, perfect. Mac Morse, yo, thank you so much for being on the show today. Senior Technical Product Manager at Avalanche, dropping all kinds of core science on us right now. And dude, this has been awesome. We got to have you back on the show when we have more core developments from our team and yours. Honestly, it's because we're celebrating Core Week over here.
Yeah, absolutely. Cengiz, Jimmy, it's good to hang out with you. Good to meet you. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, man. We'll do it again soon.